ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता अथ द्वादशोऽध्यायः। This is the 12th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, the 12th discourse of Bhagavan Krishna. The name of this chapter is Bhakti Yoga. In the last chapter, verse 55, that is Sloka 55, and the previous Shloka itself, Bhagavan Krishna said that one needs Ananya Bhakti, and that Ananya Bhakti is the main topic of theme of this chapter. Bhagavan Krishna, he explains more about this Ananya Bhakti. Bhakti is an attitude, it is a feeling, it is an emotion. To generate that feeling and emotion in us, we perform some outward actions, and that is the pujas, kirtana, or singing the namas of Bhagavan. All these are outward actions to create or generate that feeling of bhakti in us. It is just a feeling. Just like any other feeling, it's a bhakti is a feeling, it's an experience, it's an attitude. And it is very difficult to create that feeling and attitude in nowadays in this world, too busy world. Just imagine when we have to catch a 11 o'clock flight, how speed we chant Vishnu Sahasranama at morning 6 o'clock. All our mind will be in that procedures of boarding the flight or going from our home to the airport, like that. So our bhakti is divided. In modern days, the bhakti is divided. This type of bhakti, divided bhakti, will not generate that pure feeling of bhakti in us. If the bhakti is divided, if it is not concentrated or one pointed, then it will not create that pure feeling of bhakti in us. So that Ananya Bhakti, complete Bhakti, undivided Bhakti is explained in deep in this chapter. Ananya Bhakti means one should not have any desires, motiveless, desireless Bhakti. Actually, our desires are satisfied by our prarabdha karmas. Bhakti helps only very little in satisfying the desires. Bhakti is a feeling to create jnana. When the bhakti, that is the nishkama bhakti, bhakti without any desires or any motive, when it intensifies, when that bhakti goes deep, then automatically it leads to jnana. And by jnana, vairagya. So bhakti and jnana are two sides of the same coin. It's only a very hairline difference. The pure bhakti, the final grade of bhakti, automatically fructifies into jnana. So that bhakti, Ananya Bhakti, is the topic of discussion in this chapter. That is Bhagavan Krishna, he describes about that Ananya Bhakti. When we want to involve so much with God, then we have to understand Bhagavan, and that is jnana. When we understand Bhagavan, our involvement will be more. Just like when we understand a person more, then we have friendship with that person more, then our friendship gives value. If we do not understand that person just by only an external experience, that friendship may not be deep. So just like that, Bhagavan also by jnana, our understanding of Bhagavan deepens, and that automatically gives us more involvement in bhakti, that is towards that feeling. That's why bhakti and jnana are said as the two sides of the same coin. To generate that feeling, we perform the outward actions, and the outward actions, that is the pujas and rituals, it may or may not differ from person to person, from region to region, from place to place, but that's not that important. As far as it generates that feeling of bhakti in us, that any type of puja is okay. That's why Bhagavan Krishna, a few slokas before, he said, whatever you may worship me, you may just give me a flower or some even that leaf. That's enough for me. Even some water, that's enough for me, because that feeling is in that experience, that feeling, that attitude is more important in bhakti. It's not that outward action. When we have materialistic desires, what happens is 50% will be only bhakti, the next 50% our desires. So our involvement will not be that great, and it will not lead to jnana. So Ananya Bhakti, for Ananya Bhakti, it has to be the nishkama bhakti and not sakama bhakti. Bhakti is completely surrendering our emotions to Bhagavan. One may assume Bhagavan in any bhava, any feeling or any bhava means any type of relationship we can have with Bhagavan. It may be the bhava of a friend, Sakhya bhava, or Vatsalya bhava, which can think Bhagavan as our child. Many people who worship Bhagavan Guruvayurappa in Kerala, no, southern district Kerala, they think Bhagavan as their child. Many Krishna bhaktas think Bhagavan as their own child only. So Vatsalya Bhava, Madhurya Bhava, and many Bhava, Dasya Bhava, Sevaka Bhava. So all this, whatever type of relationship we have with Bhagavan, that is okay for Bhagavan. Normally, according to psychology, what the people say is, when we lack any type of relationship in our life, suppose some children, they may miss their parents, so they imagine or think Bhagavan as their mother or father. So just like that, what type of relationship we miss in our daily life, that bhava we have with Bhagavan. So whatever it may be, that feeling is very important. And the next point is, in the initial stages, we have a form. We go worship with that form. If we worship without a form, then it is so abstract that may not suit all, because for that you need a lot of concentration. But many people begin with a form. When the bhakti intensifies, when it goes deep, that form erases from us. And it is that moment it just enters into jnana. Then we enter in our own feeling of Atma. So this is completely jnana. So this is how bhakti leads to jnana. Even in our daily life, we can, some, not all days, but some days when we are so emotional and when we worship Bhagavan in front of us, we will see that form, but that form will not be in our mind. We will go beyond it. That is the Ananya Bhakti. And so, what is the use of this type of bhakti in this modern world? It has a lot of importance. When we worship Bhagavan for some desires, that the desires may or may not be satisfied according to our prarabdha karmas. If it is not satisfied, then it will let us down, let our bhakti itself down. We may think, what is the use of worshipping Bhagavan when all my desires are not satisfied? Just like that. But they fail to understand that it is the result of their karma. Even if they realize that it is the result of their karma, what they feel is, okay, maybe due to my papa, that because of that only I worship Bhagavan. Why didn't he satisfy my desires? So these are the silly thoughts that come to our mind. The important thing is bhakti is not to satisfy our desires. It is to understand ourselves. It is to understand who we are. So that's why nishkama bhakti, bhakti without any desire or any motive, and steadfast ananya bhakti without any separation from Bhagavan is very important, and given so much of importance in chapter 11 as well as in this chapter also. And when this bhakti becomes nishkama bhakti, without any desires, completely bhakti for the sake of bhakti, doing everything for the sake of God, because I love God so much, doing everything always attached to the form of Bhagavan in my mind. So all this is nishkama bhakti. It perfectly balances our mind. It always keeps our mind satisfied always keeps our mind satisfied, and because of that, we will have that emotional imbalance in a life. And many problems come if we are not an emotionally balanced person. This emotional balance, no one will teach us. We can't learn it in a university if we even go for any degrees. It's a very common saying that I am so stressed in life, so I get so much anger. And I'm more emotionally in an imbalanced state of mind. The highly educated people, they go for high position jobs, but if they do not know to balance their emotion, if they are not emotionally mature, then it will, that nature of them will let them down, will pull them down. And it is for this reason Bhagavad Gita, which is a spiritual text, is dragged to the corporate world to teach them emotional balance. When we are in an emotionally imbalanced state, we do not understand the emotions of others. We only exhibit our own emotions or react to our own emotions. We all might have heard about a very beautiful word just for 20, 30 years, emotional intelligence. In our parents' time or in our grandparents' time, this word is not there, because at that time, all of them were emotionally mature. When we improve in our education, automatically this emotional balance or emotional maturity must come in us. Or why it is not coming means it is because of our ego. When we go for higher education or for higher status of job, automatically a feeling will come in us that I am great than all of them. This is not emotional maturity. And coming to the point of emotional intelligence, this emotional intelligence is the way we react in a group or in a society, understanding the emotions of others. So, emotional intelligence is understanding the emotions of others and reacting according to their emotions or according to the demand of that situation in an emotionally matured way. It's very important. Many people lose their credit in this. When we are not an emotionally matured person, the problem is we will be neglected or ignored by others, because we may be a headache for others. So they will ignore and neglect us. Then we will feel very low, or that itself is a papa karma. When we grow in age, our emotions must also be matured. If only we grow in age and if our emotions are not matured, then it is not a complete growth, it is only half growth. So one has to be always in an emotional balanced state of mind. Ananya bhakti or nishkama bhakti will definitely help us to keep our emotions in a balance, which will take us to a long way forward. So the benefit of this Ananya Bhakti is it keeps us always satisfied in spite of our failures, and it makes us emotionally mature all the time. It completely reduces our ego. It will help us to understand who we are and who Bhagavan is and who others are. We might have seen that many bhaktas, sometimes bhakti itself will give them ahankara, that's immature bhakti. But when great bhaktas, they just treat others also as Bhagavan. They treat themselves also Bhagavan. They find no difference between Bhagavan, themselves, or others. So this is the matured bhakti or ananya bhakti, or the result of the nishkama bhakti. And it definitely gives us a confidence and strength of mind in challenging situations. We cannot avoid challenging situations in life, and Ananya Bhakti or Nishkama Bhakti definitely, because we are worshipping with our mind, and all these external situations, it affects our mind only. So it gives us emotional strength, courage, fearless nature to face any situation without ahankara. That's very important. If there is ahankara, ego, then it is not strength, it is not courage. The strength without that ego feeling of your higher mind, mamata, without that feeling, definitely is praised by all holy men. So that type of bhakti is discussed in this chapter. With this as a background, I would like to share with you the meaning of this 12th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Yoga. Arjuna Uvacha Yevam Satata Ye Bhaktastvam Paryupasate Ye Chapyaksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vittamaha. Now again, there's a doubt in the mind of Sri Arjuna. He asks Bhagavan, many people, they are your devotees. The Gopikas are your devotees and so many bhaktas you have. So which one is great in yoga? Is it bhakti towards you or the imperishable Brahman, bhakti towards imperishable Brahman? That is what he is asking is Saguna Bhakti or Nirguna Bhakti? That is worshipping that abstract concept, Brahman, who is Aksharam, imperishable, Avyaktam, unmanifest. Which one is better versed in yoga? Whether it is your bhakti towards you or that Brahman. Sri Arjuna is either he must be very naive or he's a great friend of Bhagavan, and so he has this boldness to ask Bhagavan, which one is greater, bhakti towards you or towards Brahman? Which one is greater? He asked Bhagavan. And for that, very patiently, with very maturely, Bhagavan Krishna answers to this question of Sri Arjuna. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Mayyaveshya mano ye mam nityayukta upasate shraddhaya parayo vedaha te me yukta tamamataha. Bhagavan Krishna says that the Mayavesha Mano, that is, Mayavesha Mano means the mind fixed in me, the mind fixed on me, and Nitya Yuktaha, ever steadfast, and the mind always fixed on me, Shraddhaya, with faith, that bhakti is the best in yoga according to my opinion, Bhagavan Krishna says. That is, he explains the verse 55 of the last chapter only. The mind always in me, attracted to me with the faith, with one pointedness and ever steadfast, not for 1 day or 2 days, ever steadfast. According to me, that is the best in yoga, which is the bhakti yoga. And he says, Ye tvaksharamanirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyancha kutasthamachalam dhruvam. One that is who is Aksharam, imperishable, Anirdesham, indefinable. Indefinable means it doesn't have any gunas. You cannot describe it. A leaf can be described because it has a color, it has a shape. But Brahman, he doesn't have any shape or anything. Indefinable, no gunas, no qualities. And avyakta, unmanifest, it doesn't have qualities because it is not manifest. Only the manifested things will have qualities or attributes. It doesn't have any qualities and cannot be grasped by the five senses. Sarvatra Gama, it is present everywhere, omnipresent, all pervading. Achintya, cannot think. How can we think of something which doesn't have any attributes or any gunas? Unthinkable. Kudastha means firm, unchangeable. Kudastha actually means the anvil. Anvil we might have seen in the jewelry shops in India. When there will be an iron slab, and on that they will melt gold and put it on that iron slab and beat it with a hammer to bring it that gold piece to a shape. So the gold, hot gold piece, that will change, but not that iron slab, because it is firm, it is unchangeable. That is kudastha. Achalam, not movable, immovable. Dhruvam, that is firm, eternal. That is Brahman. People who worship this unthinkable, undefinable, firm, eternal, that people who worship them, संनियम्येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः. The people who having restrained sanyamya indriyagramam, that is indriyagrama means the group of aggregate of all the senses, restraining the senses, sarvatra samabuddhaya, sarvabhutahita, that is having equality of mind towards all for the benefit of all. The people who worship that, restraining their senses, what happened? They prapnavanti mameva. They only attain me only. They attain me only. The people who worship that Parabrahma, Brahma Upasana, that Brahma, worshipping that abstract concept, indefinable, akshara, infinite, that cannot be defined by senses, cannot be thought of. Even that people who worship that Brahman, they come to me only. They maam eva prapnimandi. They come to me only. The next shloka Bhagavan says, क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते. They find it too difficult to worship that Brahman, that imperishable, indefinable, avyakta, which is not that manifest without any form, because they have the klesha, means they have this impurity of identifying with the body. When they identify with the body and worship this Brahman, then it gives only dukkha, pain. They have the trouble in their mind, because when we worship the unmanifest as their goal, unmanifest is very hard to attain for that people who always identify with their body and mind. For the embodied people, it is very hard to reach. It is for the jnanis who have gone beyond this stage. They have crossed all this stage by bhakti. They have gone to that supreme state of mind. For them, it is easy. But for ordinary people, since they identify with the body, this Brahma Upasana, or that is Upasana for the unmanifest, it gives only dukkha in the mind. ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते. Therefore, the people who worship me, renouncing my sannyasya, all the karmas, renouncing all the karmas in me, that is working only for the sake of Bhagavan, karma yoga, that is renouncing all actions in me, sannyasa mat paraha, thinking me as a supreme, as their supreme goal, ananyeva yogena, that is by meditating on me, single-minded yoga, dhyayanti upasade, that is they worship me. If they worship me or meditate me, they will attain me. The people who worship me, renouncing all actions in me, thinking regarding me as a supreme, meditating on me with a single mind, then they attain me. Teshamaham samudharta मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम्. Bhagavan is telling, Tesham aham samudharta, that is, I become, that is, Bhagavan is telling, I am that savior. I protect them against all the dukkhas of the samsara, mritya samsara sagara, whatever the difficulties they face in this loka. If they worship me and meditate on me, leaving everything else, doing all work for the sake of me, then I am their savior. I will save them from the ocean of this mortal samsara. Bhavami nachirat partha, the people whose mind are set on me, they worship me, doing all the actions for me, and meditating on me, thinking of me alone, steadfast, I'll be their savior. And Bhagavan Krishna is saying, I am their savior. I will save them from everything and from the dukkha of this samsara sagara. And in the next few shlokas, Bhagavan Krishna very clearly explains how to have bhakti on Bhagavan Krishna. That I will continue in my next video. यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णः यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयोर्भूति ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम ॐ श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।